Hi, my name is Joanna Brahim, and I will be talking about virtual reality. So, a little bit about the agenda. I'll be talking about what is virtual reality, the history, industries using VR, marketing examples, companies that invested in VR, and ethics. So, what is virtual reality? It is a computer generated simulation of a three-dimensional image or environment that can be interacted within a seemingly real or physical way by a person using special electronic equipment such as goggles with a screen inside. A little bit about the history of virtual reality. Um, the idea of virtual reality dates back to the 1800s. In 1838, the first stereoscope was invented using twin mirrors to project a single image. That eventually developed into the Viewmaster, patented in 1939, and is actually still produced today. Morton Heilig developed the Sensorama in 1956, and his background was in the Hollywood motion picture industry. And basically, he wanted to see how people could feel like they were in the movie. So the Sensorama experience simulated a real city environment which you rode through on a motorcycle. Multisensory simulation let you see the road, hear the engine, feel the vibration, and smell the motor's exhaust in the designed world. He also patented a head-mounted display device called the Telesphere Mask, which is displayed on the top right corner in 1960, and many inventors built off on his work. In 1965, another inventor, Yvonne Sutherland, offered the ultimate display, which was a head-mounted device that he suggested would serve as a window into a virtual world. In the mid-1980s, the term virtual reality was actually starting to be used. So as you can see, a lot of industries are adopting virtual reality, and I thought it was interesting to talk a little bit about how some of them are incorporating VR to become more effective at their jobs. So virtual reality allows the automotive industry to change the process for design, safety, and purchasing. It allows engineers to examine how a car could look and function without having to build multiple models. Replicating the environment also allows for safety trails to be performed without exerting the time and energy it takes to run an actual test. In healthcare, surgeries can now be viewed from 360 degrees, which is not only useful for doctors, but also students as well. Virtual reality also allows for guided tours for any place around the world, so people can sort of try before they buy their choice of destination through goggles, which I think is amazing. Virtual reality is reinventing the entertainment industry, so people play video games and watch movies while being completely immersed into the action through your senses. So you're not just watching it, you're actually in it. So I wanted to show, insert a little clip of how virtual reality is being used in healthcare. It kind of demonstrates a better idea for you guys how it can change the way we study or do business. So
we've been teaching human anatomy the same way for 100 years. Students get a cadaver, then they look at medical illustrations, and it's completely two-dimensional, and the human body isn't.
Microsoft HoloLens is a holographic computer that you wear. It enables you to bring your digital world into your real world.
At Case Western Reserve University, we are focused on solving problems and creating new knowledge.
My job is to teach, and I really think this could impact almost everything that we teach people. With HoloLens, you can see the muscles on top of the skeleton all at the same time. You can bring them in and out and exactly understand where things sit.
You can take any anatomical part and show any of it. You can move it around, you can make it kind of translucent so you can see through the outside, and that really helped me understand how cardiac anatomy worked. I actually had a moment where I found the aortic valve, and it was the first time that I'd actually seen the aortic valve in relation to all the other anatomical structures. It was a way of seeing it that you couldn't do with an actual heart.
So I thought it was an interesting video that kind of captured how they use it. Virtual reality is very visual, so I thought it would be cool to insert this clip that kind of shows and redefines how virtual reality can make learning a whole new experience and even business. So since I study marketing, I wanted to show how businesses can implicate VR through marketing. Virtual reality could potentially shift marketing in a whole new direction in so many ways. And since reality technology enables people to feel as if they're actually present in a different place of time. It allows a greater emotional intensity and provides a new layer of experience, which is why it can greatly enhance customer experience and better product testing, while allowing them to get a feel of the product or service in a way that businesses can't really do today or in the past. Providing customers with a more enhanced experience can entice the customer to stay and buy and actually shift consumer behavior. This can also lead to an increased consumer engagement, which is also a huge challenge that companies have. And it is also a new and innovative way to give the customer an idea of what they're buying or what is being sold to them. So here is an example of how companies have incorporated virtual reality into their business model. So Lowe's has created what they call a Hollow Room how-to experience. This provides a more effective training tool so customers can learn DIY on their own terms. So users can put on the VR headset and hold the controller in each hand, and they will be immersed in a project such as, tiling a shower, and they are given step-by-step instructions to complete the task. So after initial testing, it has proven that there has been an increase in recall and a boost in customer confidence, and enhances motivation to take on more DIY projects. And here are just a little bit more examples of how VR can be used or is used. Real estate is actually taking full advantage of virtual reality when showing clients potential homes by them viewing what the house will look like with their own furniture. So this will allow just for a more personalized view of the house, therefore leading to a more confident purchasing decision. It will give them a feel of if they feel comfortable in the house or not. The middle picture is a virtual grocery aisle where people can do their grocery through the virtual reality headset at the comfort of their couch. So shoppers are able to pick the products they want, like in a real grocery store, pay, and then have those groceries sent to them within the matter of an hour. There are also games like the Eagle, which allows you to fly over Paris and walk the streets as if you were actually there. So this shows what companies are vigorously investing in virtual reality, and Facebook bought Oculus Rift for $2 billion and invested at least $500 million more, and they plan to spend more than $3 billion in virtual reality over the next decade. So Mark Zuckerberg is definitely the most aggressive when it comes to investing in virtual reality. He's a big believer in it, so he's investing a lot. Google has invested $594 million on the Google Cardboard, and many companies are actually using Cardboard today. So when it comes to pricing, the HTC goggles are the most expensive on the market at about $800 versus the Google Cardboard being the cheapest at about $6. So, there's just a huge, wide range of what the goggles come in on the market right now. I actually found some stats that I found about the future of virtual reality. So by 2022, the virtual reality industry would hit about $33.9 billion. 62% of consumers say they would feel more engaged with a brand that sponsors a virtual reality experience. By 2020, the predicted number of sold virtual reality headsets will reach 82 million, and 71% of consumers perceive a brand that uses virtual reality as forward-thinking. And I also found a quote by Mark Zuckerberg that says virtual reality was once the dream of science fiction, but the internet was also once a dream, and so were computers and smartphones. So he clearly believes that one day virtual reality will be part of our daily lives, just like computers and smartphones. It will be, we will use it day in and day out. I also wanted to talk about some ethical implications that can come with VR. So these are three of the ones that popped out as the biggest issues that might arise the more popular it gets. So with virtual reality, advertisers will be getting so much more data than they get now, since they can monitor the movements and gestures, and these unique movements can be tracked and read. So it just brings this whole notion of privacy into question. The second, which is virtual criminality, deals more with the video games, and the Nether was one that was recently mentioned because it dealt with pedophilia, and there was an actual kid in the game. So in order for the player to move forward, they must molest the child and kill her, which is absolutely absurd in my opinion. But if you think about it, a lot of video games are promoting violence these days, and virtual reality is just bringing it even more to reality. So this is just a huge, ethical dilemma that people must be thinking about and talking about. Lastly, psychologists believe that virtual reality has the power to control our behavior. And I actually completely agree with this. Since they can have our every move and know all of our surroundings, they could potentially use this to their advantage, which, also draws ethics into question. So just a few discussion questions I have. What do you guys think virtual reality will be like in the future? Do you guys see that virtual reality being used for something that isn't talked about today, or hasn't been mentioned yet? And have any of you experienced or own a virtual reality headset? And if so, what have you used it for? What's it like? I would love to know your experience using one. And these are my sources.